Well, thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Christiane, and today I will be interviewing Miss Lance about her new business.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on your show and to see what you're all about.
Thank you. So, what exactly is your business idea?
So my idea is actually a bundling service named College Cook. It basically groups together all the essentials that you need in a kitchen. And we target this towards college students because when you're moving into a new apartment, like me myself, I'm a college student. I didn't exactly know what kitchen supplies I was going to need. So this is kind of a way to give college students a head start on that and give them confidence to be able to make recipes in the kitchen rather than resorting to eating out all the time, which is always fun, but it's important
Of course.
that we can all cook on our own as well.
So, what is your value proposition? Do you have any taglines as well with that?
Yeah, so the kind of the value of our business is that because it is catered towards college students, we do keep that budget in mind when we're making our products and the selling price and all that stuff. Another unique thing about us is that we have a warranty on our products as well for up to 4 years. And that's important because kitchen supplies usually last for 5 years. So if you get our product, you should be set for basically your whole college experience. And we also have if you send it in, we'll send you a new one if it's broken and that sort of thing. So once you purchase it, you really have kitchen utensils for all of your college years.
Wow. And the tagline?
Yeah, so the tagline is, it's just the beginning of your healthy and sustainable winnings.
Love
and
it.
we really like
love
this.
It.
Yes, we like to back it up because really this is just the gateway to a healthy life with our sustainable, recyclable utensils as well.
Wow, very interesting. So how did you come up with College Chef?
Well, me being a college student myself, it was I kind of just felt the need that I thought that other college students might need as well with that whole moving into a new apartment like I did this year. And kind of having to shop on my own, it's a little bit different because I do like to cook at home, but cooking in a different environment definitely is different just because of
100%.
at home I have like my parents' supplies and they've been collecting for years. So for me to start from scratch, I needed kind of a little bit of guidance to help me out.
Totally,
I can do the same for others.
Yes, so that's kind of how you discovered this market was through your own experiences. I love that. Do you have any primary research results that support your business plan?
Yeah, so I actually did some surveys as well as interviews. And to start us off with this, I would love to talk about some of the interviews that I had.
Awesome.
And I think that these interviews are very beneficial to my product research because I interviewed some of my fellow college students, so I know kind of the situations that they're in. But I also want to make sure that I got some random people in there so I don't have like a biased group of every college student's living situation.
Awesome.
For example, I interviewed a nice girl named Bella O, and when I asked her when she's hungry, does she prefer seeking snacks or meals more, and what value does she receive from that? And this answer is actually very common among a lot of our interviewees. She prefers meals because snacking doesn't feel as satisfying for a long period of time and she doesn't get as full. And just overall, she thinks that meals are better health-wise, but doesn't always have the stuff to do so in her kitchen, which is why we are here as well.
Yes.
Another interesting part of her answers was, does your choice have anything to do with your cooking abilities or supplies that you have in your living situation? And she said yes, that she loves to cook whenever she gets the chance to. And they do have a lot of spices and stuff, but kind of figure out like what they're missing on the go, so it's easier to repeat recipes rather than making new ones. And I kind of wanted to ask everyone to see like, what their go-to utensils were because, of course, we base it off of the popular vote of all of America, kind of, but since we are focusing on just college students, we wanted to look a little further into that.
Right.
And there we have tongs, sharp knives, forks, and mixing spoons, which all come in our bundle, so that was good to hear. But it is important that if we do hear one, we can use that to pivot as well.
Excellent.
So she explained her relationship with food and the importance of how it's prepared, is that she loves a great variety and that she likes food with a lot of flavor and seasoning and stuff like that, but she doesn't really care how it's being prepared in that way.
Yeah.
As in like microwave versus oven, she doesn't have a huge preference, but we'll have to kind of look up there more.
Wow, it sounds like you got a lot of great information there.
Yeah. So that was kind of the gist of her answers there, and then kind of got the same answers from another interviewee. And they liked the pasta strainer, the stirring spoon, the knives, the measuring spoons, all that stuff, and pots and pans, of course.
Yes.
But what was interesting about this was that when we asked her how much the price of the College Chef bundle influences her interest level, she said it definitely needs to be a fair price because otherwise she would just purchase it all separately.
Right.
And when we looked at our survey answers as well, this was a trend that we saw a lot, that if people can get it on their own, they don't really mind putting in that extra work as students. When we evaluated the parent side, a lot of parents were like, yeah, I would like a bundle just to get it on.
Yeah.
So that's another thing about our target market is that we might have to do some pivoting here, which we've already started with. Instead of actually marketing towards the students to be purchasing,
Right.
we are now marketing towards the parents to purchased for their students here.
Got it. And what about any secondary research?
Yeah, for secondary research, we kind of went with the big questions, just like how long do kitchen utensils last, which I touched on. It's 5 years typically, which is why our warranty covers that. And then some of the best-selling items are the ones that a lot of our interviewees answered as well. And one thing, though, that was the best-selling item that we did not hear about was baking sheets, which I think is one that a lot of people will forget about, but everyone needs, because we know everyone's making cookies.
Right, of course.
Yes. And then actually the interesting piece of data here that's important to our research is what percentage of parents actually are supporting their kids financially through college. And it was shocking at 29%, but that's a little iffy of a statistic because that can mean tuition versus just like everyday needs and stuff.
Right.
So based on our other data, the parents still are some of our top supporters for this.
Okay, excellent. And can you tell me a little bit about market discovery?
Yeah, so we kind of just went off of the other companies that are somewhat existing already, and those are ones like College Kitchen. They also do the same thing, but what they focus on is actual recipes and instruction for cooking rather than the utensils to do that. So that's kind of where our niche comes in. We can actually end up partnering with this sort of thing in the future if it ends up working out that way, because they are giving the instruction, but we are actually giving the utensils to make these recipes go.
Right, excellent.
Yeah, so that was a big part.
And how do aspects of Pastel affect your business?
Yeah, it's always important to just look at Pastel, especially when you're a new startup like we are. Even though the market did already exist, we're kind of expanding off of that. It's important to see like what factors can affect us specifically. And so for P and Pastel, it's political factors, and that what we looked at was foreign trade policies, because a lot of our supplies are being manufactured in the U.S. But when we can't get around with that, especially with COVID, it's been quite difficult to get all our shipments in on time. We have been turning to overseas, and that would in the future affect kind of some of our rates. So that's important to look at. And for economic factors that can affect us, it's fluctuation of consumers' disposable incomes. Because after our surveys, we saw that a lot of the parents would prioritize kitchen utensils as a high priority when they're shopping for a new apartment. So we just want to make sure that that can stay a thing, because as we know, the kitchen is important, but parents are most likely going to look at like bedding and bedroom stuff before they move into other aspects of the house.
Right.
So that's important for us. And then just some social factors. Like during COVID, I know a lot of people are staying in, but also it's important that people are supporting the small businesses. So if people are going to eat out more to support the small businesses, that kind of takes away from cooking for yourself, which is a big part of our business. And for the technological factors that can affect us, it actually would be positive, because if there's a new way of producing our goods and services, that can help cut our production costs and make sure things are much more efficient. And the last aspect that we talked about, or the second last, we have environmental factors, and it's important that we're sustainable because our products are already 95% recyclable, but we really want to make it to 100 to reduce our carbon footprint, because that has been found especially important now in 2020. And just legal factors are just product labeling about the whole warranty. We want to make it clear what is insured versus what is not, so we want to upset customers, and legally not going to be bound to any liabilities of that sort.
Got it. So what's your target market like in, size, demographics, psychographic?
Well, as of now, we want to focus on selling online, but to start that out, we're going to have to do just kind of test runs. So we have selected a strip mall instead of a standalone shop, because this will bring more attention to our store. In the long run, we do want to be just shipping out of warehouses, which will help us. But so for now, basically, in short, we're just doing kind of DU campus here at the University of Denver, kind of to see how it works out here in the bubble, because this is where I'm from. So
Yes.
I have some connections there that can help us out with that. And then the demographic is interesting because who we are selling to is different than who was actually using the product. So we kind of have to look at both in that aspect. And the parents or caretakers are who we want to sell to, and males, female isn't really a big deal to us right now. But we have seen statistically that the females have been cooking a little bit more.
Okay.
But we also predict that if parents are buying these kits, it won't matter as much in a male. It doesn't matter if the female or male is investing in it, because they will both likely end up using it. And yeah, we've just seen overall just the early 20s and just the college student range in that way.
So what did you do to find product fit? Did you have to change the product or even make any changes to the market itself?
Yeah, so that's actually quite interesting, because we did also make up some personas of our target market to know. Like, for example, we looked at a girl named Olivia, and she was a very busy college student, and she had a part-time job as well, so she loved to be efficient with her time. She had a busy schedule, but loved to socialize as well. So she was looking forward to moving off of the whole like eating out thing as much when school got started into kind of cooking in that way.
Yes.
So she usually has a little bit of extra spending money for we figured for a college student. So getting groceries is not a horrible thing. Like it's probably going to happen a lot. But we also wanted to again keep in mind college student budget.
Definitely. And did you have to experiment with any of these kind of playing around, or did you have to pivot, or?
Yeah, so we actually changed the target market of buyers of the college students to buyers being the parents for the students. So that's kind of what our initial plan was to sell to the students. But also, other than that, instead of just selling utensils, we also thought now after our research that selling like olive oil or spices, like this is essentials that you need in almost every recipe would also be beneficial that in the non-perishable items. So we can ship this and also with that.
So after all of those efforts, did you find product fit?
I would say that we did find product fit, and having parents with more disposable income especially helps us kind of keep that. And once we changed our target market, we knew that these customers were more engaged because when we were interviewing them, they asked more follow-up questions, and they actually asked more about the specifics of the product instead of just saying, "Oh, that's a good idea," or "That's interesting." Because that's great that we can measure that we have interest, but we have to see how many of those people are being nice versus the questions that really kind of gauged their interest. And we kind of did that through all the data. Because the data points, we reevaluated the data points pointed mostly to the parents in this situation.
Awesome. Well, sign me up for College Chef. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next week.